In the sugar-free recovery program, we do not eat sugar and flour. And then a lot of times comes up this big question, what do we do about washing for Shabbat? For many years I didn't wash, but then I found this recipe for oat balls, which I make, and you can wash over them, and they're not made with flour, they're made with whole oats. Today I want to show you in a video how I do that. I hope you feel at home in a messy kitchen. Thursday night before I went to sleep, I took out 1.5 cups of whole oats. I buy them in a health food store, and then I soak them in water, these oats, overnight. I have soaked the oats overnight in a glass bowl that is covered, and now what I'm going to do is I'm going to strain the oats and then put them in the blender with water. Rinse them off a little, and now they're ready to go into the blender. Okay, so I have here a cup of water. Pour it into the blender. I blended the water and the oats until it becomes like a smooth batter. And I'm not going to lick this, I'm going to wash it off. You may want to say, but you know, Zippy, you said to us that blended things really break up the fiber and it's not as good as eating the whole grain. And you're right. But we also have to talk about being pragmatic. And if I've decided that now in my recovery, it is important to me to make the HaMotzi on a grain, but I want to do it in a way that it'll trigger me the least way, then it will be something that's blended and not flour for me. So blended is not as good as eating the whole grain, but it's better than flour. So I go as close as possible to the optimum that I can. Now I just leave this in the blender. According to the recipe, you leave it for another 8 hours, but we're now at 10:30 a.m. on Friday and Shabbat is at 7:20. So I probably won't be for 8 hours. It'll probably be for something like 6. Welcome back to my messy kitchen. It's been 7 hours that the batter of the ground oats and water have been sitting. And now it's time to make the actual rolls. I'm going to open it up from the bottom. And what you can see is it's really this like sticky batter, like a bread batter. So I empty that out. I take a tablespoon of, in the recipe they recommend apple cider vinegar. I don't like the taste of apple cider vinegar, so I use white wine vinegar, but you can basically use any vinegar you want. So it's 1 tablespoon of vinegar, 1/2 teaspoon of baking soda, then it sizzles, and then a teaspoon of salt. I like to use Himalayan salt, the pink salt, and I just like mix it into the batter. What does it taste like? Oatmeal. I take a spoonful. I use the little silicone muffin, and I don't really like to eat that much grain, so I make them small. Comes out, I think, to about 30 to 40 grams, which is kazait, so it's not a problem. And then I fill them all up and I bake them. First of all, I put a bowl of water in the oven so that they just bake better when the oven is humid, because I use convection. The other thing I do is for the first 10 minutes, I put it on high, on like 200, like same way like I would bake a challah. And then it rises much better, and then you get these beautiful rolls. This is what they look like. Now, if you want to get fancy, you can put some kind of topping on it. And you can see that like the recipe that calls for 1.5 cups of oats, it makes about a dozen of these small rolls. And I keep them in the freezer, and then every time before a Suda, I just take out 1 little roll, and then I know that the amount that I eat is limited. The oat balls are ready. This is what they look like baked. Shabbat shalom.